Picking the right jobs. So that's the topic for this lesson, and this is very, very important. Do it the right way. You can be efficient, productive. Do it the wrong way, you can lose hours and hours, and frustration levels can be through the roof. So I'm really looking forward to going through this exercise with you and this process with you. Now, we're going to be flipping things on the screen here a fair bit because I want to really walk you through it. Where you go on to sort of get this started, let me mention a couple things. The first thing on your navigation bar, if you're doing this in Upwork, is to go to Find Jobs. Again, as I record this, this is their layout. This can always change, but the idea is, where do they keep their projects? Where do they keep their clients' descriptions of the jobs that they're in, projects they're trying to hire for? So if you're working on another freelance site, that's what you want to find, is where are the job postings, where are the project postings? So that's what we're looking for. Now in Upwork, when you click on Find Jobs, as the recording of this video, you'll see this is the layout. There's a feed of jobs here in the middle. I have the ability to search for jobs. I have some notifications of jobs that I've been invited to interview for, and I have recent searches, and then I have my job categories. So let me mention a few things here. One, you can see my profile over here, and then I have gotten some invitations to interview. I will tell you that I have not been particularly excited about the types of jobs that I get offers to interview for. It's certainly worth paying attention to and responding to them, even with like a not interested or the various types of responses you can respond with. And perhaps in your particular niche, in your particular market that you work in, it might be very useful. So definitely check it out. For myself personally, and I'm in the sales and marketing side of things, I haven't found it that helpful. But definitely worth checking out and seeing if it's worth it. Now, the feed here is almost like a Facebook feed, but basically as job postings come in, they're going to appear here. And the most recent job postings at the top, so that's pretty self-explanatory. You can have some saved searches. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Some recent searches here you can see on the left, and then my categories here down sort of in the bottom left-hand section. This is actually really important, what your categories are, because it's going to determine the default feed of jobs that Upwork will put in front of you if you're using Upwork. And there's probably a similar layout and algorithm for various freelance sites across the net. So your settings are going to be important. So let's just quickly remind ourselves how we set up those job or work categories. You go under Profile Settings on Upwork, and when you scroll down, you will see that I can go into my categories here, and I can select, I believe it's up to 10 categories that I'm interested in looking for work on. Very, very important. If all I selected was legal, obviously I'm not going to see any sales and marketing. I guess that kind of goes without saying, but I do want to stress, read through every single one of these and make sure you're picking the ones that are most pertinent to you. Worth spending a few minutes on that, otherwise you could lose out on some significant opportunities. Okay, so let's go back to Find Work. And I would say there's really two different ways that I do this. One is I'll do a search. Sometimes for a while I was really into writing and writing scripts. So I would type in maybe something like, let's use this as an example, sales script, if I was going to be writing some sort of a pitch or something like that. And I could see what comes up. It's not a great hit because sometimes sales script appears in some of these telemarketing jobs, but I would still scroll through it. So that's something pretty specific. Maybe more, how about something a little bit different? Let's call it a business plan. So maybe that sort of thing for writing. So again, I can look at, like this one, need help developing a business plan. Business plan here. So that was a bit of a better match. So that's one way you can look for very specific work. So I do recommend using the search when you've got something really specific in mind. Okay, let me go back to the Find Jobs main section, and I'm now going to show you the main way that I go through and look for work. Let me just go quickly back to my screen here though, make sure I'm capturing everything that I wanted to. I actually wanted to mention your expertise level versus projects that you're reviewing. So do you remember, you may or may not remember that. I should have mentioned this when we were in the profile section. So I'll go back to profile, and under profile settings, you need to make sure that you have yourself set up as an entry level, intermediate, or an expert. So consider the categories of work that you're looking for. Would you consider yourself brand new at that, intermediate, or expert? I would encourage you to pick expert if you can at all. Now, if you feel that's dishonest or you're going to fail doing that, then okay, go in intermediate. I really don't recommend going entry level unless that's, absolutely your only choice here. Okay? All right. So that's important. So let's go back to find work. All right. And the way I start looking for work, and this is how I spend most of my time looking for work, is simply by browsing the My Category section. And it's a little bit weird how Upwork does it, because you actually need to come down to My Categories and click on one of the My Categories. And then you are presented with a whole new screen where you can kind of filter things in and out. You have subcategories, job type, experience level, client history. So all of a sudden you're given all these filters of how you want to look for work. So you're not searching it, but you're saying in this, show me everything that matches these criteria, which I have found to be more effective, and I end up seeing more that way. So let's do that. Let me show you what I would typically do. I have my category of sales and marketing, and that's where I'm in. So what I do is I check off all subcategories. Therefore, I'm going to get all of these. And then I can choose between hourly or fixed price. I'm actually going to keep that at both. And then here we go, experience level, entry level, intermediate, and expert. So it'll default to show you all three of these. But I almost always now, I only look at expert jobs. I like their expectations, I like the people that I get to meet in that, and I obviously like the money better. So that's what I'm going to look at. You can filter out client history. I tend not to do that because even though someone may have no hires and no ranking history, I still want to see what they're doing because it might be the perfect match for me. And it might be, I'm thinking back to one particular job that was a fantastic job. I got paid a lot of money. It was for script, doing some writing work. And it took some time to get through that job, but it was very, very good, and they had no hires history. Clay? Okay, so client info, I can check off these if I want. Previous clients and payment verified. That's not really something I worry about. You can have set a fixed price budget. So if you're looking for all the fixed price jobs, you can set this between 0 to 100. So if I'm not interested in working for less than $50, or this doesn't really perform very well, it has to refresh the page every time, but $100 or more, then I would set it there. I really don't worry about that. I still want to see what they are, even though I'm not going to do a job for 50. If it's a pilot project and there's ongoing work, I don't want to miss it because I filtered that out. And then project length, frankly, I don't worry about that one. And hours per week, I really don't worry too much about that one. These are ones you can play around with, but unless you're getting so many jobs you can't even read through them, I would recommend just leaving these to the default. Okay? So it might seem like I spent a lot of time doing that, but I do think that it's important. So now I've done this, and here's what I think is really, really important, and it saves me tons of time, because that's a little annoying to do that. You can now save this search to your job feed, and it'll actually show up. Well, I'll show you in a second. So what I can do is click on Save This Search, and I would call it Sales and Marketing High Paying, because remember, I selected only expert level jobs, which are high paying jobs. I've already saved this, but what you would do is click on Add. And then when you come back to the Find Jobs section, you're going to see it right here, Sales and Marketing High Paying. So you may prefer to have 6 or 7 different saved searches if you want to focus on one thing or another. I prefer just to kind of browse through anything that I think might be good work. But if, for example, if I was only going to do writing for a while, or maybe business plan writing, I could do sales and marketing, business plan design, or business plan writing and have that as a search. I can be as specific or as general as I like. I like to be general so I don't miss any opportunities and then quickly browse through things that are relevant to me. You may want to have a really narrow search, totally up to you. And there's a good case to make for doing it both ways. All right, so saving your ideal search, that's important. Okay, we're going to talk about a few things here, and then we're going to go into some and look at them. So client location, their ranking, their hire rate, total spend, average hourly rate. You may remember we talked about that a little while back. And learning about your client is very important so you don't end up wasting a lot of your time.